Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
What do we got in store this week?
This week, we've got a combination of a Rotten Tomato verified movie reviewer, a fellow bald educator, and a former schoolmate of your cousin.
My cousin?
This week we've got Don S. as a special guest. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thank you, fellas,
Hi, Don.
so much. Happy to be here. Hey, Curtis. Hey, Oz.
Hey.
Hello,
we are Very
hello.
excited to have our first guest. Just
So,
like in the
fellas,
investing world, we
yeah.
believe in the power of 72. So we only have a guest every 72 episodes.
72 episodes. Can't wait for number 154. I can't do the math. 144?
44, but
144. Okay.
That's the magic number.
Yeah. So, fellas, what are we watching this week?
I don't know. You tell us. It's
what's on your
You're the
mind?
guest. You
You're
bring it.
bringing
So
the movie.
So,
Yeah.
do you have a movie marriage for us, Don?
I do. By the powers vested in me, I bring you a movie marriage of Jaws, Jungle Cruise, and Scarface. This week we have 1997's Anaconda.
Oh, that's a good movie marriage. You're natural.
It just flows.
It was between Creature of the Black Lagoon and Jaws, but Jaws is way too obvious to have to be there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be there.
I like
Nicely
the Jungle
done.
Cruise. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because of our target demographic of 14-year-old girls and 14-year-old boys, I'm like, they're not going to understand if I put the African Queen in there. So nope, got to bring The Rock and Emily Blunt.
Yeah. No, that
And
was over. That was
Snakes
over
on a
my
plane
head.
is too. Yeah, Snakes on a Plane's even too obscure. So
Way too obscure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're there.
Would you believe Snakes on a Plane's like 15 years old now?
No,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts. My daughter was at a sleepover last night, and she had asked me before she went. She's 6th grade, but she didn't watch a lot of horror. Actually, no horror. So she goes, "They're talking about watching the first Scream movie. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
like the violence
worse.
is there, the language is there, but really for us, it was like, no, there's no nudity, there's no sex scenes. So yeah, that'll be okay."
Yeah.
And so she's at a party, and only one other girl there had ruined it, and then like halfway through blurts out, "There's 2 killers."
Yep.
Yeah, welcome. So she's telling me that I was so mad at her. I'm like, well, welcome.
Spoilers. You got to call spoilers.
Yeah, I'm like, just wait till you hit social media there, kiddo.
Exactly. Life and the internet go hand in hand.
Yeah, all right. So welcome to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme, this month being guilty pleasure movies. And we go back and forth, bantering and just poking fun, but also enjoying the sanctity of moviedom. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I am the other host, Curtis.
And we have, like we said, we've got Don here with us, and we are more than excited to have Don on our show. Don, tell us a little bit about yourself that our listeners don't know, because Curtis and I, we are avid followers of all that you do online.
Sure.
Everything, every comment, every Twitter joke of the day,
Okay.
every Facebook.
I got notifications up for Don.
Oh, man.
Every Saturday at Home Depot at the first of the month. We are there with you, Don.
It's YouTube. Okay. Yeah. No, my name is Don Shanahan. I'm from Peatone, Illinois originally. I am an elementary education major who turned into a school teacher, who's turned into all the hats that I wear now as a technology teacher, a technology coordinator, and a librarian at a school on the west side of Chicago now. Along the way, I was always the movie dork of my high school and college newspapers. It turned into a lot of years of like, you have to grow up, be a teacher, can't do the movie stuff anymore. And I got talked into starting a blog. I didn't know what a blog was in 2010. I called it Every Movie Has a Lesson because I wanted to kind of marry the kind of teacher brain and the movie lens that I had together. I've been able to kind of get published and climb the ladder in the 12, 13 years since then to, be a Rotten Tomatoes awards voting critic and Critics' Choice, Hollywood Critics Association, all kinds of little things, including the Chicago Indie Critics Group that we all share and we partake in. So it's been a fun ride to have that kind of be the side hustle. I get to kind of, as a teacher, get to brag to the kids like, hey, are you guys going to go see Cocaine Bear this weekend? I'll be like, I already saw it. I get to be that guy. So more than anything, it's just been a fun ride to have something to have the to flex the creative muscle at the same time as doing the grind as a husband, a dad, a teacher. So it's been nice to have a side gig of sorts. It pays me no dollars, but it's fun
Right,
to
and
do.
we're excited that you finally have reached that upper echelon of being the first guest on our show. So you've made it, Don.
I've made it. Yeah, the Don bump
Yeah,
is real.
this
You talked
trumps
about-
every other accomplishment.
Yeah.
Personal,
All of those things, yeah.
Right.
financial,
Yeah.
familial.
Yeah.
Yep, tear the resume up
Yeah.
now. Right, rewrite it.
Everything you said, it was like been there, done that.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're glad that you're on the same journey that we've both taken. No.
That's right.
No,
You're
that's
anyway.
those accolades are great. As we've talked before, Curtis and I are just a couple of movie nerds that met freshman year of college and never shook each other away. So,
As hard as I've tried.
Yeah, and you've tried very hard. You even
Yeah.
left school hoping that I'd just forget you.
Yeah, I thought you'd take a hint, but it just didn't work.
No, I'm the is the filter of wedding crashers to your life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find you.
But when it comes to you two, I wouldn't be here without Michelle Zerny. So thank you, Michelle, for turning
That's
me on to
true,
your show.
yes, yes.
Shout out to
Yep.
Michelle, good friend. It's just nice to have connections in the world and find fellow people. So yeah.
Yeah, Michelle
Cousin
is great.
Shell.
I remember all of the benefits I had of being introduced to Cousin Shell, and that when she was all of like the Bulls, well, it was one Bulls game that I know she contacted you, Curtis, but you don't answer your phone when you're at work, and she tried telling you, letting you know she had last minute Bulls tickets, box seats, and she couldn't get a hold of you, so she called me. And when you called me after school, where are you? I'm like, I'm on my way to Chicago with Michelle. We're going to catch the Bulls.
Madison Street.
Yeah, you were a little hot that day.
I forgot about that, and thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate
I'm like, well,
that memory.
So she just schmoozed and rubbed shoulders, and I just all you could eat hot dogs and dessert bar. So
I took using the press powers. I took Michelle to one movie in the last bunch of years here. Her and I went to the Music Box in Chicago to see. Oh gosh, we saw Roma, the Alfonso Cuarón Netflix sad Best Picture Oscar winner. Where, like, hey,
That's a Michelle kind of movie.
No,
real uplifting one.
we're stealing candy next door to bring into the movie theater and stuff like that. And I'm like, we're going to go see a really chipper movie, and she's like, no, we're not. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's gonna be awful. So we come out of that movie like, so how are you? Do you want me to drive you home? Okay, that's great.
I'm gonna walk around a while and think.
Yeah, not the movie to reconnect with old friends over. That's for sure.
No,
I gotta go stare into a puddle for a couple hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna regret immigration policies to Mexico for 2 hours. Right. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh well, Don, we're gonna segue to real quick Patreon subscribers. We have you as a Flix friend or Flix Click member, where you get access to our absolutely garbage backup or like bonus episodes.
I beg to differ.
You know they're trash, and that's why we enjoy them as much as we do.
But it's fun trash.
Oh, it is.
Not all trash is equal trash.
It just shows what happens to let's talk about Flix when we come into an episode with zero preparation. We spend 12 minutes on it, but when we actually put together something, hits that hour and a half mark. So we do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers: Don S, Melissa L, Aaron A, and Mandy K. So we have now had 25% of our Patreon subscribers on the show. So we're coming for you, Melissa L, Aaron A, and Mandy K. You will be guests at some point.
Be ready.
So. All right, Don, it is your episode. So you brought the movie Anaconda. Curtis, who is in this movie?
I'll take care of the characters for you, Oz and Don. So we've got a rock-solid cast here from 1997's Anaconda. We start with
rock?
Igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary.
Flint?
Yeah.
It's one of those soft rocks.
Yeah,
been in the oven too long.
Real porous one.
Like a limestone, yeah.
Yeah.
So we start with Jenny from the block herself. We've got Jennifer Lopez in Living Color Fly Girl playing Terry Flores. She's a documentary director at the chipper young age of 22 or so.
Oh yeah, she's made it. So
fresh out of film school, and she's there with her best friend Danny Rich, who from here forward, by the way, I'm pretty much just going to call them J-Lo and Ice Cube because that's really who they're playing. Yeah. So Danny Rich, quote unquote, played by Ice Cube, he's the cameraman. He and Terry grew up together, so they've got that knowledge, they've got that relationship.
They're a
We
team.
have, they are Team J Cube. We've got
There you go.
That'll work.
the esteemed actor John Voight playing Paraguayan snake hunter
Yeah.
Paul Cerrone.
Oh my!
I'm sure that's the first and last time his Paraguayan roots will come up as we record today.
Not a chance. Yeah.
I
No,
feel
not
like
at
this.
all.
I feel like this movie is what happens when you actually have. I'm not going to go as far to say decent classroom of kids, but at least a knowledgeable classroom of kids. But then, like, I feel like this movie had like a substitute director, and so all of the actors are like, "Well, we know what we're here for, but the director's out today, so let's really just goof off and have some fun." And it's kind of the vibe I got. Yeah. John Voight's Paraguayan snake hunter.
Paraguay.
Oh
Yeah.
my!
If I had a nickel for every movie I saw with a Paraguayan snake hunter,
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have more money
Yeah,
than
I'd
you would
be-
Patreon
I'd be-
subscribers. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you or you'd have a nickel.
Yeah.
Yeah, one or the other. We got Eric Stoltz playing Dr. Stephen Kale. He's an anthropologist.
I'd have much rather been Dr. Stephen Brule. That would have been amazing.
Check it out.
Right?
Yep.
Do you think Miss Flores has taco flavored kisses for her Steve?
She should have him for Danny after everything they went through.
That's true. They're growing up though. They're just friends.
Yeah.
That's kind of your lead cast. Our secondary characters, we have Jonathan Hyde playing Warren Westridge. I'm assuming the third.
He's got to be the
Because
third.
something.
Yeah,
He's got
a
it.
lineage of Warren Westridges.
I'm
Minimum
pretty sure
3.
he was born with wings in his back.
Yeah.
He's he does like documentaries. He's like the British talking
He's the
guy.
David Attenborough. Yeah.
Yes, who does all of these documentaries. So he's
Yeah.
rich British guy who you're immediately not supposed to like.
Right.
We have a post bottle rocket, Owen Wilson playing Gary Dixon. He's the sound guy.
He's the sound guy.
Sound guy.
He's the
Because
sound
Lord
guy.
knows
That's
you need
really
that.
all you need to know.
Yeah.
And as a sound guy, he's committed to. I will be ready to capture sounds 24 hours a day.
Wonderful.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a very eager
you wanna
sound
go?
guy.
Do you want to go for a walk? Yeah, let me get my equipment.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what she meant.
No. Yeah.
Speaking
but
of
he fumbled
she,
it
we
really well. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was looking for snakes, but so was he.
Correct.
We got Kari Wurr playing Denise Kalbreg. She's the production manager. What she's actually producing is left to the imagination. But
This is the first
Yeah.
time,
as opposed to
in
other
26
things which
years-
which aren't.
This is the first
What's
time in
that,
26 years I've heard that character's last name. I had no clue she had a last name. I just thought it was Denise.
Denise.
Denise. That's it.
Denise Lakechoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Vincent Castellanos as Mateo. He's the local that they bring on to drive the ship and be their navigator.
Who may or may not have history with someone else in the cast.
He's got great hair, I'll say though. Great.
Oh, he
great
does.
hair.
Dude,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
A
Fantastic.
lot of it's either product or never been washed. One of the two.
Either way, it
That's
looks
embarrassed.
great.
Yeah.
Right.
And most importantly, we have the one and only Danny Trejo as
Most of them.
Poacher.
Even my wife, we were watching it. She goes, "Is that guy?" I said, "Yeah, it's that guy."
That's that guy.
She goes, "Okay, he's young." I said, "Well, it's an older movie."
Yeah.
Well,
And,
Yeah.
A, and a dubbed
Although,
English
isn't he
quote.
like 80 or something?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
something. He's like 75, like
Yeah.
Stallone's age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
his autobiography I read it last year, very solid. Like
bet.
really insightful to the Hollywood process, but also everything he's been through with prison and the drug trade and etc. Like he's really, like, you really read it and you're like, good for you, man. You really redeemed yourself on this one, because that's how it's written.
Yeah.
It's a nice read, really uplifting.
He's a legit success story. When you see, I mean,
Yeah.
book aside, I mean, look at all the stuff Danny Trejo's done. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, and he even addresses that in the movie, that, you know, there's a lot of stuff he's in that he knows critically is not getting him attention. And he said, some of it I do for the paycheck, but he goes, honestly, I take every role offered to me because it gives everybody else an opportunity to work.
True.
Like that's really how his mind works. Is like, you know, they need it more than I do. So yeah, I'll be in your movie, and if that helps get it funded, then that means people
There you
are
go.
putting food on their table.
And proof in the pudding, he does not say no. he's in everything.
No, he does not.
He's in everything. Yeah.
Right.
I will say, Patriot subscriber Melissa L and I recently got, not that we got them there, but we ordered T-shirts from his taco stand that he has out in L.A.
Okay,
So
cool.
we have Trejo's taco shirts that we proudly display in Woodstock, Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's helping to sell those tacos out in L.A.
Yeah. Well, the mail order tacos.
Yeah, yeah. You just he just drops them in FedEx and he's got them there, and like three to four business days.
Yeah.
It's like Ready Fresh or whatever that is. Like,
they're shelf stable.
it comes to you all compartmentalized. You have to make your own taco, but yeah.
No. You open the box and just steam. It's just perfection. Just they're that damn good. Yeah.
Yeah, they come from LA fully cooked and stay
Fully
that
cooked,
way.
yeah.
Just du jour when you open.
Right. Oh. All right. So
All right.
great.
Well, that's our cast of characters.
And honestly, it is literally every cast member outside of the shadow people.
Yeah.
So
Now they're ninjas in the jungle. Yeah.
They are. So, all right, Don.
Yeah.
Hit us with the plot.
Hit us with the plot. So gosh, there's so many places this could go. But the movie
Is there?
Yeah, I don't know. No, the movie opens in a portending kind of read over of kind of facts about anacondas in case you don't know, and I'm pretty sure 98% of viewers aren't the herpetologists. Were like, oh, I'm sorry, I already knew that. You can just skip right past that.
Boring.
Everyone else is like, oh my god, I'm going to need this. Let me read this through. And
Oz and I both, Don, Oz and I both have expressed our affection for kind of like your pre-credit,
love it.
pre-credits,
Love it.
like factoids that movies like to throw
down.
at you.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like how Terminator starts out with their, they're like MS-DOS font, like in the future. I'm like, oh, I love it.
C:\\\.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, yeah, like Battle Royale and their preface of like, oh, I do, I love it. Like, don't show me what happened in the story. Just tell me stuff's going on. And get to
Pretend
it.
I know nothing about anything. And throw me some facts.
Set the stage, and start me in Act 2.
And honestly, for a movie that's 89 minutes, it does get to business.
Oh yeah.
It does. Yes, this movie goes. That's yeah.
Yeah. So it gets up and going in terms of this little like you said, the pre-credits information that lets us know what anacondas can do, how big they can get, and complete foreshadowing of like, especially because like that last line especially, like, and when they're still hungry they will regurgitate their prey to feed again. You're like, oh, that's coming.
Yeah.
That's coming.
Yeah.
Who's it gonna be? So
It's sad that they're bulimic.
Paraguayan tastes better the second time around.
And anacondas have eating disorders.
Oh man, I'm sure there's a support page for them and their.
I've never seen a fat anaconda.
No,
It's in the DSM.
But I've seen a couple of fed anacondas in this movie, so that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But no, after the voiceover, or I'm sorry, after the text read aloud a little bit, we meet a boat at nighttime in the Amazon. The camera angle suggests that we're following something approaching the boat. But on board, we see Danny Trejo's poacher trying to frantically radio in the sweat and haze of trying to get himself out of there with the dubbed voice of whatever he is that's not Danny Trejo, because with the best English Danny Trejo's ever done in a movie. So it happens to the point where like something hits the boat, and we're like, no way, because for those of you who've been to a zoo, even the biggest snake in the world is not going to rock you as if it's as if Jaws showed up or Bruce showed up and knocked your boat over. He's done with 3 barrels. I keep thinking of Robert Shaw is going to show up and explain us all how this is happening.
Yeah, it's doll's eyes.
Right. So this boat starts breaking apart. Nails pop out of the floor. Love that shot of the nail coming right up in front of Danny.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic shot. Some of that is action director Luis Llosa doing his thing, because that's the guy who did like Sniper and The Specialist. Not that they're creme de la creme action movies, but he's come from that Roger Corman school.
He worked on this.
No, yeah. But no, he comes from that school of Roger Corman where, if you're going to show it flashy, and they do. We don't see what's after Danny Trejo. We just hear what's after Danny Trejo. He climbs up to a top kind of crow's nest kind of point of this boat. Camera's rolling around as if you wonder what it is. And, of course, the title of the movie is Anaconda. It's not a deer walking up to him. And he decides, you know what? I can't get anything out of this. I'm going to put this gun barrel to my head and pull the trigger. And he does.
I am not going to feed this anaconda.
No.
Yep. See you later, machete.
Right.
Right.
Birds perish, music changes, credits begin, and we're taken to Manaus and the opening where we start to meet our film crew characters. So, we get this documentary team who are trying to find the Shirishama, great made-up name of long-lost indigenous Amazon people.
I still feel like, even though it's made up, I still feel like we should be offended by this. Like,
I agree.
It had to just be some, like, a bunch of, like, white producers sitting around a table.
Yeah.
Let's come up with an exotic name.
Well, let's all put marshmallows in our mouth before we say them.
Right. Start pulling syllables, hit a boggle game and see what comes up. Oh, look at that. Sure,
Supplemental income.
Yeah.
Finish that outside.
But as Kurt has let us know, we start to slowly meet our crew. Particularly Danny and Terry started off first, and Terry's kind of doing her little get the film crew ready thing, and Danny's kind of doing the whole, woo women with science thing, which is such an Eric Stoltz move for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
when I think science, I think Stoltz.
That's what got him fired from Back to the Future, is he tried to make it too realistic and scientific.
Oh,
yeah.
Well.
You're out of here.
There was beakers everywhere, Bunsen burners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
brought Bill Nye to set. Like, there's no room for this. We have our own Emmett.
But I tell you, for Stoltz though, like, pale skinned, red haired guy, playing off the "I've been to the jungle and can do my thing without sunscreen" really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really shows what kind of guy this is.
I think he paints a picture. Not to spoil the plot at all, but I think Eric Stoltz's idea of the jungle is exactly how this movie went. I'm going to go out into the sunlight for a good 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'm going to spend the entire rest of the movie in bed.
Right. I'm going to look at some charts, think about some things I can say to Terry, and just wait for the big things to show up. Right.
Just be scientific, stupid.
At the same time, we of course meet Danny, which we are going to affectionately call Ice Cube the rest of the show. He's doing his thing, doing sound
It's Ice
stuff.
Cube. It's not Danny.
It's Ice Cube.
It's Ice Cube.
Yeah,
because today is a good day.
Yeah. How you doing, Danny? Today is a good day.
Yeah.
Today's a good day.
I love that he dropped that. Yeah. He gets one song in the soundtrack later, so good man.
Yeah. That he's listening to himself.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Dude got second billing though, ahead of John Voight. So Ice Cube got a check, so we'll take it. No, we also meet Mateo, and we also see that, and of course Carrie Wurr and Owen Wilson kind of doing their, pre-canoodling things of like, I have sound and I'm the production manager, and don't stop and bother me, production manager, and that sort of thing. And of course,
there's lots of sexiness.
Yeah.
Early in this movie.
You're really sexy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of it's PG-13, but we kind of sort of see like J-Lo's Jenny from the blocks.
Yeah.
in the first shot of her.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what happens when ice cubes get too close.
Correct. I never thought of it that way, but that's true. Yeah.
Speaking of science.
Yeah, they're not shy here about showing there, but you're right. PG-13 movie where they let enough of this slide, and with the violence of the movie itself, thanks to snakes swallowing you instead of slashing you up, this is bloodless violence that PG-13 movies can get away with. Mm-hmm. But I imagine there's some 10-year-old kids who watch this going, "Oh, this PG-13 is gonna be great," and then like, "They swallowed the dude." Yeah, I'm sure there's some nightmare fuel coming out of this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, group gets on board. Western shows up, does his little Prissy Brit thing. We're used to that. Jonathan Hyde will eventually be another Prissy Brit later this same year in Titanic. So we're like, all right, do your thing, Jonathan. Get your paycheck.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. As they get going on the river, they encounter a storm and a stranded Paraguayan snake hunter, Paul Cerrone, who convinces them that they can. I know that he and as soon as Voight shows up, I mean, even just like waving on the boat with the poncho and the bag, like, I don't know what John Voight's face does all movie. I can't imitate it.
Thank you.
How he turns his mouth, but like smiles, but growls, but sneers.
Yeah.
It's a comic book artist couldn't draw it that good. I don't know what he's up to, but he's amazing.
It's so hot out there. His face melted.
Yes.
And then Ice Cube got close and it refroze. And
it forced the middle of his lips up towards his nose, but it gave him saggy jowls at the same time.
It was impressive.
Yeah. But he convinces the crew, like, "Oh my gosh, thanks for picking me up." The crew kind of takes the camera, shoots some of this footage, like, "Oh wow, look at us rescue something on the river." Production value. I keep thinking of the fat kid from Super 8 showing up, like, "Let's record everything." Yeah. I'm waiting for that kid to show up. Yeah. So Cerrone kind of, has that kind of story of like, oh yeah, I know the Shisham. I'll take you right to him, and is able to kind of answer the quiz questions of Eric Stoltz's Danny of like, oh, he's trustworthy. Let's go. So, but moving up the river a little bit more, there's different kind of stories and tales of the Shirashama lore. I think I might jumping too far ahead to say that they get stuck with the rope in the boat. And,
no.
Okay.
No. There's no such thing as too far ahead on this
show. Not like the end of this movie.
Yeah, we build our podcast episodes like Pulp Fiction around here.
Okay, okay. But, so, la-da-da-da-da, people knowing people, Westridge golfing and drinking Burgundy wine, and Ice Cube playing the rap and being pissed, ready to cut people up in the throat. Good job, Ice Cube, We're playing stereotypes and all. They get to kind of a snag of sorts where they stop, where Danny kind of wants to show off his adventuresomeness and his pale skin again. Salute to fellow redheads. I love it. Any chance you get to make Eric Stoltz look cool. Until he swallows a wasp and is poisoned on a scuba dive trying to untangle the propeller in the boat. And
how did that?
No
do
clue.
Wasps live underwater?
Do they live in scuba storage cabinets on boats?
Exactly. Like
they really, really like oxygen. And they like to
Love
burrow themselves
oxygen.
in a O2 tanks.
Right. I mean, we do.
That's why you see them at malls a lot and in casinos.
Right. In terms of like telegraphing where this could go, I love how Stoltz is getting his scuba gear ready and is telling the story about the organism that can go up your urethra and spread. Like,
oh yeah.
So like, oh wait, is that going to happen to him? Because of course he starts to.
Yeah, River Monsters covered that.
Right. So he starts to writhe in the water and having this distress. We're like, wait, is his penis on is it getting raped by an insect right now? Let's go. But no, it's just.
Did this thing get confused with Eric Stoltz and climb it in his mouth instead?
Yeah, like now they're having questionable, sexual dimensions.
Usually they don't wear the masks over that part.
Right. Like, hey, Wasp, you're doing it wrong, or whatever the name of the kind of coup. I don't know what it was either. So, so Danny is out of commission. He needs a tracheotomy to kind of get back up and going, and Cerrone kind of takes over the boat, kind of forcing the crew to kind of help him achieve that goal. And because along the way they run into, soon after they run into Danny Trejo's boat, thanks to Randy Edelman's stinger, like, hey, ding! Remember, it's the boat we saw in the beginning of the movie. So we get to that boat. Where they're like, hey, maybe we have some fuel and some. Well, I think I'm skipping way ahead, but maybe they have some fuel and some things we need. But a newspaper clipping on the wall of the Danny Trejo boat lets us know that Cerrone, Mateo, and Danny Trejo are all in cahoots looking for snakes. Poachers. Well, for collectors, right? So I can't even do the math. So Cerrone kind of reveals more or less across a couple of scenes that he's out here trying to find a record-breaking green anaconda, and in doing so, that could be a boon to their documentary, which is now partially kind of at risk because Danny is whatever poisoned for medical attention and needs to get back to Manaus in order for this to kind of work a little bit, or to save him and skip the documentary. So while they're out there, Cerrone is kind of taken over, but said, hey, even though this isn't going to work, let's get a snake instead, thinking they can capture this big boy alive. This is the first instance.
Because there's plenty of room on the boat.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a storage tank underneath, I'm sure. And somebody
just put him down below.
Right. So they kind of get to that spot where they're on the poacher's boat, and it's Mateo, Danny, and Cerrone trying to investigate, and Cerrone's kind of covering his tracks, but kind of grabbing some gear while he's there. When poor Mateo becomes our first victim of any river snake and gets swallowed up in CGI and puppeteer merging fashion.
R.I.P. Mateo.
Yeah, R.I.P. Mateo, and your gorgeous
Mateo.
hair. Yeah. But crazy thing was, this is kind of our first appearance of the snake, but also the first appearance of really ridiculous moves that the snake can do. Like, for Mateo, it was cool just to see him get grabbed and wrapped up. We're like, oh, that's what a snake can do. But to twist his body but hold his neck to crack him and kill him, like, wow, you're a black belt green anaconda. Good job, buddy.
It's ambidextrous anaconda.
Oh, most certainly.
It's good with his right and left hands.
Yeah, he's easy.
Something. But yeah, the dude just kind of takes over. Voight's got those lines of always be prepared. You have Terry trying to do the whole ecological balance of this river, but and they meet this statue. They come to the fence that's kind of there. Like they're trying to get back to the main village and the hospital as fast as they can for Danny. Yet Sarone's kind of there, like, well, but let's try to get this snake instead, like you're saying. So we get to this
Take a
little
detour.
right. We get to this natural wall or dam built in the river that Owen Wilson tries to kind of help John Voight kind of blow up a little bit. And at this time, John Voight's kind of getting his hooks into Owen Wilson a little bit, like, hey, think about the money this could be. And Owen Wilson, in his complete low scale salary sound design man's like, yeah, change, let's go for it. Catch it, John. I'm in.
I'm on board, John
Oh
Voight.
yeah, that does
Right.
sound good.
I do want your life, John Voight.
Right. Oh man. Whew.
Gold
Good
star
Varsity
for you
Blues
today.
That's right. Because we are in that John Voight heyday here, where it was Anaconda, it was Rosewood, it was the Rainmaker, it was U-Turn, Most Wanted. He was Varsity Blues. He was kicking in the '90s. Yeah.
Can't forget Bud Kilmer,
Oh,
Varsity Blues.
oh no,
Yeah.
so good.
When I think late '90s, I think John Voight.
Me too.
Yeah.
John Voight and the band Everclear. That's all I remember from the late
Yeah.
'90s.
Yeah.
It's like I could tie most of my best high school memories to John Voight.
Mm-hmm. But the search for Mateo, of course, goes badly, even though they stay the night shining flashlights and yelling his name into the river. And of course, there's kind of like a, Voight just never misses a beat. He's got that little eulogy, Nome de Patris, just throws flowers into the water and says, "Let's move on."
Such a dismissive eulogy.
Oh yeah, hilarious.
Nah.
Yeah, and the horse that rode in on you.
Yeah,
Nah.
he gets to a Brando level of like, this snake has made a meal of our captain. I'm like, oh boy,
Oh,
where are
yeah.
you going here? So,
Yeah.
but they get to this kind of wall a little bit. Owen Wilson and some dynamite blows this thing up, sends snakes flying everywhere onto the boat and all the places. Everyone's spooked and freaked out by little anacondas, let alone big anacondas that could be out there. Love the shot of the finger biting anaconda. It's just so young and so lethal. So just every chance Voight gets.
Don, are you part Paraguayan?
I
must
think he
be.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounded like authentic Paraguayan accent there.
If anything, the Paraguayan societies would be like, "Sir, that's not right. No. Dude, enough. Go back to
I
Irish."
need you to
German."
come to the
Yeah,
consulate.
And they all sound like Cerrone.
Right. Oh my gosh. But
I've never been to Paraguay, so I
no.
don't know. Maybe that is authentic
yeah,
Paraguay.
we go down there and they talk like New Yorkers. I'm sure. I bet. Yeah.
They all sound like John Voight, ironically.
And they're all wearing like XX red T-shirts as well.
Yeah.
So all these snakes show up. They kind of dispatch what they can dispatch, but again, the dynamite blast kind of costs them their drums of fuel, which magically fall into the water, but cannot be retrieved in a really, really shallow river. Like, can't you just go down and pick them up, bring them back on? Nope.
Well, there's wasps.
I guess
You
so.
can't do it.
Gasp,
You saw what happened to Dan. You saw what
Yeah.
happened to Eric Stoltz.
Right, or a Marianas Trench
Wasp.
is there where they're just gone. They're down. They're gone.
Right.
Sorry.
And it made Eric Stoltz's
These barrels sink.
made Eric Stoltz's head swell up really bad.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Oh man, good point.
Eric Stoltz got stung so bad that John Voight's head swelled up.
Yeah. So after they sweep these snakes back to their mother, we get to the point where Sarone really takes over and says, "No, we're going to bait and get this snake." He sets up this ridiculous deep sea fishing wannabe rig of some sort, baits it with a dead kind of capuchin monkey of some kind. That of course,
Yeah.
Owen Wilson's all down for. So
I like Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
Deadpool's there too.
Deadpool showed up.
Ryan
movie
Reynolds
up a
was
notch.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1998 Ryan Reynolds or 97 Ryan Reynolds. Can you imagine two girls in a pizza place? Ryan Reynolds. Oh, it'd be funny.
Yeah. Just swap him out for Owen Wilson. You're not missing much.
Good point.
He could have been Mateo.
But so we've got this like silly fishing scene, and they get a bite. And of course, in true dumb movies show it but don't show it fashion. The music, Randy Edelman's score kind of pings up again. Thing kind of moves a little bit here, moves a little bit there. Again, I'm back to Three Barrels and Robert Shaw yelling at us until the snake comes out of the water. And this is the first time really the crew has seen a snake of this size besides Mateo, who was killed. And everyone is just aghast in horror with our rear, the classic Jaws shot of kind of the rear.
Oh, I know. I
rear
love
drop.
it. Yeah, you got that dolly shot going.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite film shots.
I love that
they
shot when
pulled
they
out
do
the
that.
big guns for this one.
But so this kind of all happens, and in the ruckus of this, what, like you said, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to put it? Voight's got tranquilizer darts, which is great. Good luck shooting it. In the fracas of this whole thing, Gary gets killed. Right, Carrie Werr gets Gary gets killed, and this is our Owen Wilson's Blondie death, and that's great. And then the snake gets away, but of course gets its one kill and it moves on, and everyone's just kind of stuck where it just isn't working. There is next after that really stupid seduction scene where J-Lo tries to kind of, I don't know, proposition John Voight into taking back over.
I have a plan, guys. I'm gonna go and make out with him, and you sneak in from this side, and you sneak in from that side, and.
I mean,
John Voight may have been born at night, but he wasn't born last night, and you're not gonna...
right. But of all the things in this movie, not that I'm bringing the big critical head to this the way Roger Ebert did, giving it 3.5 stars, but to me, that's
seriously
3.5. Go look it up. Ebert gave this thing 3.5.
Don, you gave it 4 on Letterboxd.
I did. Well, I'll talk about it later, but like this is like we're in Guilty Pleasure month where no shame for that.
Of course we are. Yeah. No, not at all.
But for me,
I really enjoyed this movie.
I have a blast.
So.
It was fun. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I mean, picture an 18-year-old kid, senior year of high school, seeing it, where that was just the shit. That was amazing for me. So yeah. But no, for me, that seduction scene is kind of the dumbest scene. They do kind of think the three guys get the drop on him a slight little bit, try to tie him up. They're trying to drive again. They're still trying to drive the boat back to the village to kind of get, to get Eric Stoltz some help. They come to a waterfall, which of course kind of matches one of Cerrone's silly stories of you're going to follow everything to a waterfall and end up where you're going to end up. And they kind of bottom out in the boat. They try to winch it to get it loose, and of course another big anaconda shows up. Westers tries to help. Danny tries to help. Carrie Werr gets tossed in the water, and it's kind of Cerrone gets loose, and it's kind of our. I don't want to say big, halfway action climax, but it kind of turns into that where somehow the snake gets up a tree and completely catches Jonathan Hyde doing a swan dive through a waterfall to get away. But then the snake's like, nope, I got you. Grabs him, wraps him up. One of the best shots in the movie. I remember that in the trailer, where that was a hilariously great death and catch from the snake. Cerrone tries to get loose. There's a fight for tranquilizer darts and firearms. They're able to kind of. Eric Stoltz comes out of nowhere to kind of surprise. I'm awake. Maybe I'm not as poisoned as I think I am. Is able to kind of.
I think my wife said twice in this movie. I forgot about him.
Totally. Yeah. But they try to telegraph it a couple times. Where like the jostling of the boat kind of like wakes him up a little bit. Like, am I okay? Oh man.
How long have I been out for?
Right. I'm gonna go brush my teeth and put my contacts in. Like, hold on. So he's able to subdue Cerrone enough with one of his own tranquilizer darts, tosses him in the water, of course, where the dart falls out, which means he's going to be fine. It's just a matter of time we see him later. But we're down to.
They even said his tranquilizer dart fell out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So one of the many lines.
This movie does a lot of that.
Yeah.
It does a lot of I'm going to tell you. At the beginning when you're meeting all the characters, Owen Wilson's like, "Yep, but I do sound." Here's my girlfriend Denise. Yeah, and I'm the production manager.
So by this point,
I love it.
It's but again an economical 89 minutes. Movie's clipping, movie's moving well.
Yeah.
So by this point, we're down to J Cube, and they're still trying to get back. They come up to what looks like a deforestation factory of some kind or whatever they're doing in random factory number 1 against the river. They're like, hey, maybe there's fuel in there. Maybe there's a big darn snake in there too.
I think they're making Smilex.
It looked like right out of Bo Welch's production design. Like, they're like, hey, Warner Brothers, you got that old set? Yeah, Sony will buy it. We'll put it in the Amazon. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's just go. Let's make it one of those. It's just. It's the original Amazon factory. No, there's no factories deep in the jungle of the Amazon.
Or what are they doing? It's like random barrels, winches, and I don't know what's going on in there. It's like
It's not even believable because come on, you're on a river and there's no paddle wheel for energy.
Yeah.
That's not realistic.
Yeah.
Every movie with a factory on the river has a paddle wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how else are we supposed to make inventions and be in Beauty and the Beast? Exactly. So
Fake.
fake, erroneous. Throw the movie out. But by this point, while they're searching for fuel in this random warehouse, Cerrone gets the drop on him. Subdues J Cube, ties him up, puts him in a net for bait for the big anaconda, and this is when the biggest of big anacondas shows up, which looks like some kind of 72-foot telephone pole coming down the way, where the CGI kind of takes over, but although the puppetry is still kind of there, where this snake makes the other ones earlier in the movie look like, the garden hose in your backyard. It's ridiculous. This big boy shows up. Cerrone has this plan of, drop a net, tie it ever so the traditional movie tie of like when people put up horses, 2 loops and I'm done, guys. It's secure, going nowhere. That's going nowhere.
He doesn't know how to get out of his.
Cigar. Yeah, he's there. So the haphazard net rope gives way, where the baited J Cube wake up. They're able to kind of scurry away at the same time as the anaconda notices Cerrone and says, "Oh, I'll go after that guy." And does so where Cerrone tries to get away, gets up a ladder, and again, one of the best trailer shots from the trailer. He goes, the snake, like lightning fast, goes around this ladder, grabs John Voight by the shoulder, wraps him off this ladder, brings him down, and does all the things we heard about were happening to people when they get crushed by snakes from Cerrone. Like you'll hear your bones break and your blood vessels break, and you get to see all those things kind of mangle John Voight as he starts to eventually get swallowed, kicking and screaming nice and whole. But the snake, and if any of you,
I loved the point of view from inside the snake.
Love it.
I was just going to say something. You beat me to it. The throat POV.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm telling you, out of nowhere, like you've seen a lot of, like there's a couple of creative shots in this movie, like when Owen Wilson's body's in the body of the snake underwater, you kind of see the imprint of him and the snake.
And he's pressed up against it.
Yeah.
Right. And he still looks like a woe face, Owen Wilson. Perfect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You could tell his nose was still broken.
I mean,
Yeah.
The Jonathan
It's got
Hyde
a Wilson
catch,
brother in there.
Yeah. But like the Jonathan Hyde catch is a cool shot, but this one, I did not see coming. Like I don't even know how. And again, Luis Llosa's from the Roger Corman school, where like somebody sat down and said, "Hey guys, how are we gonna make the inside throat POV of this snake? Do we have like pig intestines, or what are we doing here?" I have no clue how they made that shot. None.
Well, and it's great though because you mentioned Roger Corman, and kind of go full circle here. It's like you got this point of view, and then I hear somebody being like, I watched Little Shop of Horrors a couple days ago. And he got that inside the throat shot where Steve Martin is singing, the dentist song, which of course, Little Shop of Horrors originally Roger Corman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a mangled John Voight does get swallowed up, kicking his little feet on the outside. The snake has enough body left to still, tail whip J Cube into whatever they need to do to kind of get away. They do find some fuel. They come up with a plan to kind of get the snake to get blown up by some of the gas and oil hoses, and the most cockamamie but yet quick plan from J Cube comes to play. J Cube's trying, or J Lo, excuse me. Gosh, Jennifer Lawrence is not in here, and neither is any Oscar winner. Although Voight's won an Oscar.
Jude Law is what you meant.
That's what I did. Yeah. Oh gosh, can you imagine him in this role, man? So Lopez gets to the top of the smokestack. They light the smokestack on fire, and they're like, "All right, got him!" Right? She jumps down. Ice Cube tries to catch him a little bit. Nope. Snake's on fire and comes right after him. Screaming his thing along the way, and again, combination of CGI, combination of puppetry, but you have a lit on fire snake still coming after Ice Cube. Ice Cube kind of puts an axe into the head of it, letting out the death row vibes of whatever voices were screaming inside of the snake. And you're like, as usual, like a good scary movie, you're like, oh, that's got to be it, right? Nope, pops. Well, that's where the axe comes in. The flaming snake goes under the water, and you think that's done, and then one more scare, one more hit, one more kill. And we're still left again with a stabbed in the leg and shot. Did Ice Cube get shot in the movie, or just the stabbed in the leg? Somehow Ice Cube's great. Yeah, no problem, just fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
They build him
today
tough,
was a good day.
Just dust it off.
Right.
Because Ice Cube's a pimp.
Exactly. They've grown tough in Southern California.
That's right.
So Eric Stoltz, Lopez, and Cube are the only three that are left. They kind of sail off in their happy merry way, and sure enough, they find their for fun. Hey, let's get the camera despite mourning all the people we lost. Let's to record the Shuri Shama while the credits and music take us out to close up Anaconda.
And the Shuri Shama ended up being cannibals,
That would
and they
be
all
great.
died.
But yeah, that's that in a terrible snake shell is Anaconda.
Oh, love Anaconda.
I do.
I love it when he throws like the wound up molten skin, like throws it. What is that? Oh, this is how big it was. It's bigger now.
The snake
Like-
skin. There's snakes out
Right.
there this big because Ice Cube, playing the exasperated African American
Yeah.
character we've seen in 1,000 movies, must do that. You know, if it's
Yeah.
not exposition, it's surprise. So
Yeah, it's like I'm surprised he didn't look around and go, "This is what trees look like." We don't have trees in South Central.
yeah. But that's Anaconda.
Oh, Anaconda. This was fun.
I
Curtis, I know you hadn't seen this prior either.
I'm amazed.
Well,
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was better than I thought. It speaking of, why don't we go right into our rating, folks? Every week we give our
Yeah.
own unique rating to the film in question. In this case, 1997's Anaconda. Don, you want to kick us off? How would you rate this flick?
I would rate this 79 feet of Anaconda skin.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a lot of feet.
Yeah, it's a lot of feet of Anaconda.
Let's see.
Oz,
I'm
what do you
going
think?
to give this a full cast of names without a whole lot of talent.
Perfect. That's correct.
7 actors with about 2.5 actors worth of talent.
It's impressive. It's like when the Euro League, the Champions League over in England, and they all get old and come over and play for MLS.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of how it feels. It's like I know all these names, and you watch it and you're like, oh.
They
But
play
still
soccer.
somehow puts together just a fun movie experience. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, realistic. Yeah, none of those actors you watch and think, boy, they've got range, but yet they're still successful enough to know their name.
I don't know. Kari Wuhrer.
Okay, with the exception.
There's a skin flicker too. I'm sure a couple kids know Kari Wuhrer from. I'm sure. She screams Cinemax night at the movies for me right there.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not hardcore. She's softcore.
Exactly.
As I was processing with Patreon subscriber Melissa L, I brought up the fact that Kari Wuhrer was in that, and Don, that's pretty much the exact same reaction. Like, how much of her clothes does she take off?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
a lot. Not all.
Yeah.
Not all the clothes, but most of
Right.
the clothes.
So, Curtis, what's your rating for this?
I'm gonna go with 56 Paraguayan ponytails.
The
Ooh, love it.
ponytail. That's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm
He
really
rocks
surprised.
a great ponytail.
I'm really surprised because the three of us are about the same age. Where I figured this was an easy PG-13 movie. A lot of people saw. I know it made a good money at the box office. I was there, saw it a bunch of times. Where this was a VHS hit for me, so I was pleasantly surprised for Guilty Pleasure Month. There was a movie you two hadn't seen. Couldn't believe it.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, I can't speak for you, but I grew up in the sticks. Like my hometown's
too.
900 people.
Yeah, I mean,
But you guys still were at least within proximity to a movie
We had
theater.
Yes, yeah. Don and I did. We did get Chicago media coverage.
yeah.
You know, we
Yeah,
were
no,
on the.
It was. I remember at my hometown theater. Well, the next town over was a two-screen multiplex.
Oh.
$1.50 admission.
Oh, those are the best.
And when Jurassic Park came out, I'm not kidding. It was half the billing for 12 straight weeks.
I believe it. I mean, that's just how those
Now,
roll.
in a theater with 2 screens, 12 weeks is a lot of movies that aren't making their way into the theater.
Yeah.
Not to
That's
say
a
this
lot of
obviously
Jurassic
at the same
Park.
time. But yeah, it was just that ilk of but yet at the same time, not the same time, but like I saw the original Scream 3 days in a row at that
Yeah,
theater.
yeah. We were
so-
we were spoiled. We had Kankakee south of us from Piatone, where there was 5 screens at the Paramount, 3 screens at the Meadowview, and they just opened a mall theater in '97. The first movie I saw there was Dante's Peak, like 2 months before this one, and so we had 10 more screens after that, and we thought we were just hot potatoes to not have to drive to Orland Park. You know, oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah,
18
yeah.
screens, just within a stone's throw from us there, Don.
I pretty much had to wait for VHS for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. There was one year I know I got 3 copies of Speed on VHS for Christmas.
Sure. That's just the way it goes, man. What'd you do with the
so-
other 2?
I probably kept them.
There you go.
Like, I don't have them anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah. I am trying to flesh out my VHS collection a little bit.
I've been upgrading. It's all Blu-rays and nothing. I don't have a VHS left. Not a single one. I have to say,
I'm just looking at. I'm just looking for background.
Oh yeah,
podcast background.
I've got that going too. No, I have to say the funniest place I saw this movie over the years. It came back to the big screen where I'm like, I have to go see the big screen because this has been a guilty pleasure for me for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And so the Wilmette Theater on the north side of the city, they partnered with the Field Museum for one summer to do science. You're laughing already because you can see it coming.
Yeah.
They did like science on screen series of movies.
Yeah.
So they they paired a movie with a visiting scientist to do a talk back after the movie. So they brought in if you've ever been to Wilmette or any of that area, it's a prissy little art theater where the crowd there. I'm the youngest person there, and I'm 37 years old at this point. So I go there and I'm like, I was there, 97 Anaconda, first day, let's go. Can't wait to see it back in the big screen. But they brought this like senior set crowd of maybe a dozen people, all of them are in their 60s, and they're like, oh, we're going to watch science. This is going to be great. And a herpetologist from the Field Museum's here. This is going to be great. And I could hear them during this movie just going, just all these parts, all these things, all these moments of like, they got, they just got slammed by a PG-13 horror movie, and the herpetologist afterwards like, yeah, guys, there's nothing factual in this movie, but here we are. Let's enjoy the movie. And of course, I'm
not even the opening crawl.
Not even the opening crawl. And of course,
in my head, I had the mental image of all of these like old couples there.
Yes.
And in the beginning, where the aforementioned Jenny from the Blocks hanging out in her little tank top. All of these wives turning to their husbands like
smack him on the arm. Yeah.
Herman.
Yeah.
Quit staring.
or
Gerald, close your eyes.
Oh, thank God John's here. I know him. He was in. Name a '60s movie with Voight. So just hilarious.
Is that Rocky Dennis?
Or what would be like coming home?
Exactly right.
Yeah. Is Jane Fonda here too? Yeah, something like that. Oh, but man, but yeah, that's been my story of this movie. The other piece that I kind of do with this is kind of a top guilty pleasure for me, where as the film critic, I'm that person who occupational hazard. I'm that person who separates favorite from best. I have to.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
I know people who.
If you listen to our show, you know
totally
we
agree.
do the same.
Totally agree. But I have to separate it where I know this movie is dog crap. But I have a blast. I have fun. Where I call this, when people ask me like, how do you separate this stuff? I'm like, well, I call it the Anaconda and Schindler's List rule. Like, Anaconda is a movie is terrible, but I will watch it over and over again and love it. But recognize that it's bad. Schindler's List, of course, is one of the finest things ever made. I'll never watch it again. There's no, hey guys, let's watch Schindler's List, huh? You just can't cozy up to the family.
Schindler's List.
Let's pop some popcorn.
Yeah. Hey kids, come here.
You guys want to watch Schindler's List?
Pop some brews.
You joke. You guys joke, but Schindler's List, again, in a town of 2 screens.
Yeah.
I had my 8th grade girlfriend and I went to Schindler's List
there
together.
You go.
Because I don't remember what the other movie was, but my logic even at that time was Schindler's List is the longer movie, so we should go see that.
Money's worth, right? At that
I see where
point.
you're going there.
Oh,
Real downer for a date movie,
Like
even in
with Roma.
junior high, where
Did you
real downer?
Oz? Did you slap a single between the first baseman and second baseman?
No,
Took it the other way.
You
Pitch
didn't
was
get-
outside.
no.
Just slap it.
I was one that's
no,
like
boy.
I need to like well, it was like it's a great movie though, and I've always
very
been a
good.
film fan.
Yeah.
So I probably was more enveloped in the movie and what's going on
Same.
than the poor girl.
This sounds just like, and again, I'm married. Michelle's doing her thing where we weren't dating, but like I took Michelle to Roma, and we get to that. You get to that like that childbirth scene, which is awful in the end of that movie, and I'm like, This is great, huh? Yeah, aren't you
Yeah.
glad you came out? Yeah, no, Don, not glad I came out.
Laugh
Having a,
riot.
Right.
having a good time.
Oh, yeah. Like you said,
Gotta freshen
walk
your
around,
popcorn
stand in
for
puddle. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Just poof. Yeah, just disappear.
I got some extra snow caps.
Right.
Michelle's in the lobby. How fast can the lift get here? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're out of junior mints.
Curtis, where are you?
But I'm glad you guys could put it on the list of guilty pleasures. Thanks for having this. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yo,
no problem.
Yeah,
All right.
this is great. let's
Outside
transition
Ins-
to
yeah, go
outside
for it.
insights. Every week, we scour the interwebs looking for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours too. Don, do you have an outside insight for us?
Yes, I do. And to change it up, I have a pair to choose from. We'll see where this goes. But to change it up
Go
from
for
where
it.
you guys
Sure.
do in your show, I know you guys call from Letterboxd and IMDb. Being the Rotten Tomatoes certified critic I am, I said, you know what? Let me get a big timer. Let me go to Rotten Tomatoes and find an awful 1-star,
Ooh.
0-star review. So, this I've got two here. Let me go. I'll do this one first. Mark Savlov of the Austin Chronicle in 1997 wrote this. From its opening shots, Anaconda's beast looks like a hastily rendered computer graphic strung together with puppetry that makes old Muppet Show outtakes look downright Spielbergian by comparison. Cut-rate horror shows may have worked back when Roger Corman was making his way through the cinematic jungle primeval, but the days of using glad bags in lieu of giant leeches are long gone, or certainly should be. Charmless, unfrightening, and even devoid of the requisite gratuitous nudity, Anaconda just plain bites.
So what he's saying is it would have been better with boobies.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I get at. It's like
That's
got-
what I heard.
that's Mark.
got
Yeah.
plenty of snake.
Yeah. I'll throw a second. A shorter one. I had. This is Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle. 1-star review. He wrote, "To watch Anaconda is to get the impression that there's only one snake in the entire rainforest and has been waiting its whole life for the chance to devour Eric Stoltz, Jennifer Lopez, and Ice Cube." That's as far as it got. I like the Mark Savlov.
Did he even watch it? Because those are the three people that didn't get devoured by the snake.
I know. Like, Owen Wilson
Wasn't
fan
for lack
club?
of trying.
Yeah. But yeah, from Rotten Tomatoes, right there for you.
Nice.
Well,
well
even,
played.
even the
well played.
professionals get it wrong sometimes.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah. Whereas, like I said earlier,
Stooges.
Roger Ebert gave this 3.5. It was one of the
Roger knew what was up.
Yeah. He used the term creature feature. And I when I was a young pup, trying to write and read, I had never heard that term before. He used it kind of capital C,
really?
capital F, and I'm like, oh, creature feature. And it's kind of a term I've taken on to use myself when I can, where I enjoy a darn good creature feature, and I admire the hell out of Roger, where his review is just really good. Where he just had fun. He's like, hey, I had fun. It's dumb, but it was great.
Yeah.
Well, good
And-
for
and
him
I
for
think
letting his
that-
professional
yeah,
guard
no,
down.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
And I love it when they do, where you just call a spade, and be like, look, this isn't going to win any awards, but it won my time,
Yeah.
and I had a good time with it.
Nominated for 6 Razzies, but all of them were stolen by the Postman of Kevin Costner fame the same year.
Wow. We've covered our fair share of Kevin Costner.
Oh, yes. Good shows.
That's the one where he didn't have gills, right?
Right.
I think. I don't know.
No. Or Whitney.
No.
He's my bodyguard.
That's my bodyguard.
Oh, it's always a good week when we get to yell that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oz, what is your outside insight, my friend?
I got a 4-star review by I Am the Owl, left about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, it's a recent.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's
Yeah.
not Curtis?
He says, no.
Also
I know
has a
it's not
podcast
Curtis.
and also doing Guilty Pleasure Month.
He says one of the most realistic movies about a singer and a rapper going to the Amazon and fighting a man-eating snake I have ever seen. This movie is the gold standard for the Amazonian snake horror genre. 5 stars.
Perfect. Yeah.
Boy, this guy really loves his horror subgenres.
Yeah.
He's got a
Of
file
all the
cabinet.
Amazonian snake horror I've seen, this one takes the cake.
I prefer my Nile River snake horror.
I don't know if this
Or
was
my Mississippi snake
Right.
horror.
My Kankakee River.
was this quite nihilistic enough to even be in the genre. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well done. Curtis, you have an outside insight, I bet.
Well,
Why don't you share it?
that actually kind of leads nicely with what Don was doing there. I got a couple that I'm going to bring to the table. As I was telling Oz pre-show, The Gifts Kept Giving with the outside insights I was looking for. This one was left, and this is important to know that this one was left in February of 2000 by Squill. Being an intelligent man, I realized the futility of convincing the non-believers who can't draw from the needed background reservoir to understand. So I won't bother preaching this film's virtues, or try to win you over by fact and argument. In 20 years, they'll be calling this a classic. I'm calling it one now.
Oh, look at him, ahead of the curve.
There we go.
Squill Don. I don't know. Did you used to go by? Was that a pseudonym in college?
No. What was the pseudonym? What was it? Yeah, did you guys have AOL Instant Messenger back in the day?
Oh, who didn't?
We're class of 98. What are you class of?
97 high school, 01
See?
college. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what was my handle? Back massager. Was my handle. That played well. Yeah, that got me.
I bet it did.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Not with this going
It probably plays as well as Michael Scott's Little Kid Lover.
Oh,
Dating profile.
yep.
I just want them to know that I'm up for commitment.
Yeah. I want the ladies to know I have strong hands and I'm just going to sit behind you. Yeah,
Right.
got it. Yeah.
Back massage.
Here's another one. This one comes from CC the Movie Man.
No.
I'm going to cut to a select portion here. In here, too, is the all-too-familiar cheap shot against Christians, in which they show the worst, most despicable person in the story, and then zoom in several times to show you the cross that the sleazebag is wearing. Because if there's one thing I got out of watching this movie, it's anti-Christian.
Anti-Christian movie. This was an attack on the Christian church.
This was from the liberal left.
Chicken Soup for the Soul made this movie. You're right. Totally. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah. Nice. That's what you took from it.
Yep. When I think Anaconda, I think woke. That's what I get out of that. And I got one more. I got a feeling like this one is going to tickle your funny bone. This is left from
I'm feeling rather ticklish.
Lee Eisenberg. Okay, so in retrospect, Anaconda looks pretty ridiculous. Ice Cube talks like a rapper wannabe. Oh well. Owen Wilson had to start somewhere. He should thank his lucky stars he didn't have to start out in Dante's Peak.
I love Dante's Peak.
Well, and you bring it up because I love a movie review that references another movie.
It just trolls another movie for no reason.
Yeah, but exactly. Just at least one of Dante's Peak.
Hey,
I'm gonna write
Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the guts to write a poor review on Dante's Peak, so I'm gonna hide my real thoughts in this Anaconda review.
I admit.
I just
hope
don't
Pierce
want to offend
Brosnan never
anyone.
finds out.
I know, unfortunately, know too many professionals who do that to this day. It's awful. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This was my introduction to Owen Wilson. I never saw Bottle Rocket. Like indie stuff never made it to the 18 screens of Kankakee. So this was my first Owen Wilson spin. Little did we know.
You introduced me.
Yeah. Little did we know.
Curtis introduced me to Bottle Rocket.
Okay. Little did we know, like J-Lo and Owen Wilson be back together and marry me last year. So like I watched that movie like, all right, Anaconda sequel. Here we go. Yeah.
Do you think they talked about it?
I hope so.
On set?
Like, hey.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope that like they made Anaconda and then they went the whole entire rest of their careers failed. I mean, not just lives, not just careers, but lives. Failed marriages, disappointing relationships, and then they get all the way back to "Marry Me," and they're this big hug, and they're like Anaconda forever.
Yeah, and they just trade war stories like J-Lo. You were married how many times? 4. Oh, and you slit your wrist a couple times. You know, like those two have some stuff. You know.
Remember when you made out with John Voight? She's like, highlight of my career.
Right.
Boy, do I.
Yeah.
You remember when he was so bored making out with you that he noticed he was being attacked?
Yeah. What
Why do you think I've been divorced so many times? I'm a boring makeout person. Yeah. That's bad. And Diddy. Go ask Diddy.
Man.
All right, folks. We're at that point in the show you've all been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I and special guest Don will share our 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about 1997's Anaconda. Don, you want to kick us off with your 3 goods?
Sure. my first good is the presence of Ice Cube. I know he's there to kind of drop exposition and be the, like I said, the loud, exasperated African American stereotype, but I'm
Yes.
here for it.
Yeah, loudly
I,
react to things.
Yeah,
I was waiting for him to go, is it Friday yet?
yeah. So, just like if he's not there, but if he's,
Are we there yet?
man, just the knife or
Keep
like
going,
just
please,
little
please,
scenes.
please. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna sit back for a while.
Like, but it helps. Like, but he does just enough to still kind of be a tough guy, just enough to still kind of be loud. Because like if this was like Chris Tucker instead, it would be dialed to 12. You know.
Yeah.
But if this was like Lawrence Fishburne, it'd be too sage for its own good. So like,
Yeah.
Ice Cube was kind of perfect. He was young enough to kind of like fit the characters and what they're doing, tough enough to still be kind of like a entry level, you know, movie hero. And I was cool for that. You need kind of one tough hombre to kind of be in the crew, because unlike other movies, there's not a clear like action hero stud where like, oh, that guy's going to survive all movie. You know, like there wasn't an obvious beefcake here, and it even wasn't Ice Cube. So I'll take that. I was pretty good.
Well, and it
Well,
was also
he's
great.
like, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
He's kind of like the everyman, and
Yeah.
he's kind of, in some ways, he's kind of like the audience stand-in, because like, if you were deep in the Amazon getting attacked by a 40-foot snake, I think, oh hell nah, would also be my reaction as well.
Right. And they did a great job with the casting, because like you said, the other two that you mentioned are either, it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's either, too much or not enough. But it's like at the same time, like he also does a great job of filling in a role that is absolutely unbelievable, just like everybody else in it. Like there's not one moment I believe that J-Lo really works for National Geographic.
Yeah.
Or that John Voight really was,
Paraguayan.
Like, and so it's like it is a great casting, because you watch it and he fits because nobody fits.
Right. So if you're gonna have these broken pieces, have ones that at least hang around. Yeah.
Right.
My second good is I'm here for it. John Voight is in so bad it's good territory. The mouth alone. I don't know how. Again, I don't know how he does it. The line readings, the facial expressions, the grimaces. I don't know how he does it. But I'm here for it. I'm here for his overacting. It was just a treat. Because again, if anyone else is in that role, it's not enough, or because no one's going to do it more than that. But when everyone else is kind of bland, like you said, with a talentless cast, at least you got him blowing the doors off the place. So you need that. You need that.
You guys don't want to eat this scene? Fine, I'll eat
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll chew it like a nice overdone steak.
it. Exactly.
Well, as we teased at the end of last week's episode, the National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, also a film au revoir. The way that John Voight really went to the Tony Hopkins School of Acting for this one.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, and I can't imagine even being in his head of like sitting in the little movie set chair, like, how am I going to do this one? Or like, hey, can I? Or to go into Luis, the director, like, hey, can I get another one? To drip it down more.
Yeah.
I have no clue how the process.
What's my motivation here?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because I want to see like the dollies, the grips, and even the cast members who are just off camera going, what is he doing?
Well,
we the same movie?
you can easily look at it. Yeah, you can easily look at it, and like I could see him on with like James Lipton inside the actor's studio, and he's asking him his question. He's like, I drew a lot from Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now for my role.
Yeah.
But I just don't quite have the ability to get there. But boy, did I give it everything I had.
It's between him and John Malkovich in Rounders. It's the most overacting I've seen that still works. It's crazy. Like, it's so wild it fits because the rest of it is wild and it plays.
You think Malkovich was more in Rounders or Con Air?
Oh, that's a good question. Rounders, because the accent's just so, Aunt Jemima syrup thick. It's crazy,
Yeah.
But my third good is we're talking about camera shots and the throat POV, but that effing wink. That effing wink. Every time.
Yeah.
So
Forgot about
it's
the wink.
so good. But every time I saw this movie probably once or twice in theaters because it was just such a great time for me. And when I watched it the first time, and every time I watched it since, including with the senior citizens of Wilmette, when that scene happens, people leave their bodies because they're just like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's just the reaction is just out of nowhere. Because they telegraphed it. You know, the crawl at the beginning of the movie telegraphed somebody's going to get somebody or something is going to get regurgitated, and it's John Slimy Voight, but he's got one eye there to pop that wink, and oh my gosh, it's just a sledgehammer of a hilarious gasp.
So
I will
terrible.
trade that for every jump scare you can put in a movie for just a knowing moment of like, bang, hit the wink and classic. I love it.
They should have just rolled.
we know we're
Should have just
trash.
rolled credits right there.
Yeah,
Right.
bang.
freeze frame the wink and then roll credits over it.
with like a little jingle, like bump 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 bump.
Yeah. Like really cute music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Family Ties theme kind of cute music. Like,
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Those are my three goods. What about you, fellas?
Let's see. My first one is you mentioned Ice Cube. I'm going to mention Ice Cube. Just the simple opening line of his role of "Today's a good day." Like, I was like, I was expecting a guilty pleasure, obviously because it fits the mold. I knew that it was kind of a middle of the road. You like it or you don't. But I mean, from the jump, I'm like, all right, you're giving me something to read to start the movie. I'm on board. And then we meet people that don't logically fit in the role that they're in. Yeah. And then we meet Ice Cube. How you doing, Danny? Today is a good day. And I'm like, I'm on board. I'm 100% on board. This movie is made for me. I could care less. If because I was streaming it. I could care less if the stream cuts out in 10 seconds from now. I'm on. Like, this movie wins. I'm on board. And my second, and I changed it. The second is the power of good direction.
Okay.
And this is one of those. Hear me out. Hear me out. I think as glory-filled as the director spot is, because I mean we could rattle off, amazing directors with an entire career. When you get people that are capable of doing good performances, but then you lose that director they're with, and you see them in this like KFC mix-up bowl of performances here, and you watch them, and you're like, and you're looking at it, and you're like, there is no way, because they've all, with the exception of, we'll say Owen Wilson, who's new or whatever, J-Lo hadn't done a lot, but you're like, John Voight, you know better,
right? Eric Stoltz,
you know better. Eric Stoltz, you know better. You guys have done better, and you know better. And the hoity-toity British guy, like, clearly in Titanic, he was better. And so I think it's a huge testament to the power of having control of your set and being a director. And I won't even say of clout, because there's some directors in their debut just knock it out of the park. But just the vision of knowing, and because I seriously doubt the director of this film was like, John, I really want you to just dial it up a little bit more. But it's like, but at the same time, he clearly didn't have the power to get him to dial it back. And the same thing with like Marlon Brando in the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, great example.
Like that kind of performance of like that man knows better, but nobody was stopping him. And
can you give me more restrained, Marlon?
Right, but it's like, and so that's my second good. It's just the power of a good director and what they can take out of a performance, as opposed to what they can get them to add to it. My third good is the throat shot, point of view snake cam. Good. Like, I love it. Like, because it's like you said, completely out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Like everything else with I was impressed with the dolly push. On J-Lo in the fishing scene, and even then I was like, "Oh, good for you! Like you're pulling out the big guns," because everything else is just point the camera,
pretty much,
and go.
Yeah.
And then we get that, and then they're like, "Hey, I got this point of view from inside of." I'm like, "Oh my god!" It was gold.
Well, and they built that. Golden. That was that was something physical. So it looked like one of those. It looked like one of those collapsible tubes that like your 3-year-old plays in.
Yeah.
Oh,
like they ran down to Walmart and paid like $7.99 for one of those things.
Right.
and just put some
It was
ectoplasm inside of it.
You've got me looking up the cinematographer of this movie, and sure enough, it's Billy Butler, who did Jaws, The Conversation. He was the second unit photographer in The Godfather. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Rocky 3, Rocky 2.
But again,
this
all
is pedigree.
those movies you named are way before 1997.
Oh yeah. The movies.
This is. I've been out of work.
He did before this. He did. Here's the 4 movies he did before this. The cinematographer: Hot Shots, Cop and a Half, Sniper with Losa, Beethoven's Second, and Flipper, and then Anaconda shows up. So yeah.
Right.
But
A lot of VFX and Beethoven's Second.
Yeah.
Dude
is 101 and still with us. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a movie coming out next week.
Probably, right? Probably a Marvel movie with all the CGI, right? Yeah.
but it's just you feel bad because you hear about all these actors, like Brendan Fraser in The Whale, that his time had come, it had passed, John Travolta went through it, prior to Pulp Fiction.
Right.
It happens. But it also happens to everybody else involved on the creative team. And so, you get directors that tend to hang around a little bit. Then you get actors that never really bounce back, like a Bruce Willis. But it's like, here's a cinematographer that had a career, like legit magic on cinema. And it's like now he's kind of been forgotten. And the move, of course, the pushes, they're, around this time, they're dabbling in CGI and some digital this and some, and so it's like well, I'll take what I can get, and this because they still got bills to pay and mouths to feed, and, but good for him.
The director here only did one other feature after this, like in 2005, and has not done another feature since. So Losa came in and did like 3 hot Hollywood things: Sniper, The Specialist, and this, and then poof,
you peak early.
Yeah, poof. Curtis, your 3 goods.
What are your 3 goods?
Yeah, my 3 goods. I'm going to start with. We kind of mentioned this up top. Just the pacing. This movie cooks.
Yeah,
it just goes, and it's good that this movie's not longer than 89 minutes. Had it been any longer,
I think they shot it in real time.
Amazing snake cooperation for 89 minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean,
time
they had to kill
in the Amazon.
They had to kill the snakes at the end. They had to shoot it in order too.
Yeah. In between scenes, like no, let Owen Wilson go. Cough him back up. We need you. 2 more shots. Come on.
We got other Wilson brothers. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Luke,
this is all this is all I read it in the trivia. It's all first take real time. Like it actually was a documentary.
Go figure. Yeah.
They call him one take Stoltz.
Yeah. Oh,
well, he ordered several rolls of film and only 1 roll came in, so they just had to go.
He's probably, and the funny thing is, I bet Stoltz of this cast and is probably I don't want to say the diva, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one guy like, no, go back, I need that again, versus Voight who's like, what are you talking about? Let's go,
Yeah.
And J-Lo and Ice Cube are too young and they don't care, but that's probably why Stoltz is in bed half the movie, like, hey, go away.
You didn't shave my chest right. You gotta go against the grain.
Right.
That's not how you do an amateur tracheotomy.
Oh, geez, yeah. You're doing it wrong. He's like Nick Burns, the copy guy from SNL. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Move. Let me shoot this myself. Yeah.
My second good, I'm gonna go with the extent to which they want you to hate Warren. At the the first 20 minutes or so, his luggage and his golf clubs and his pinky up tea sets, his cappuccinos.
Right.
I love how thick they lay it on, and they really play it up that he's like kind of the villain early on because they kind of give him those moments
yeah, he's wearing a "He Hate Me" football jersey.
Oh, I was waiting for the sports references. We have not done enough.
Yeah. Jonathan Hyde, big XFL fan.
Yeah. Early investor.
Yeah,
he was. He was right there with Vince McMahon.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a late investor.
No.
Oh, my last good. I'm gonna go with the pan flute that both led us into the movie and played us out of the movie.
Oh, and it won't be our only pan flute this
No,
month.
oh gosh,
yeah.
yes, right, yeah. No,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's Randy Edelman. He's like Last of the Mohicans. He's a legit composer, but he just overplayed the pan flute hard here. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the pan
Well,
flute.
he probably looked around. Of course, they always score this stuff
True.
afterwards. So he's
Yeah.
looking around. He's like, whoa, you want me to dial it back?
Did you say Paraguay? I know just the thing. Yeah.
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 He's like flipping through his
Yeah.
CDs. I got it. My Paraguayan
go.
pan
Right,
flute
right.
CD.
Here we go. Take this, Mahler. Yeah, here he goes. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Don, what are your two bads for Anaconda?
You brought up Jonathan Hyde. Carrie Werr is worse than Jonathan Hyde. She's a push-up bra and a haircut. That's all she is in this movie. I know there's that fun scene with the wild boar and Owen Wilson and the canoodling for PG-13 where she has a moment to kind of be your scream queen person for a second, but she's awful. I don't know what you fill
Yeah.
that with, other than obviously you need kind of a bit of TNA person there, and that's what you're gonna get. Like I was expecting
Which is
Sigourney
funny
Weaver to
because
show
that's-
up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like that's her role, and Owen Wilson was acting, and she's like, "This is just another day at work for me."
Right, let's get-
making out with
yeah.
somebody in front of a camera.
You
Let's
need
do
me
it.
to go in the woods? Okay, sure. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I can do it again,
Important
Jack.
things. PG podcast.
Go on. Oh, see, I thought it would be me. I thought it'd be me. If someone's gonna curse, I thought it'd be me. Yep. Here we go. My second bad, and I know it's low hanging fruit, but the CGI is pretty rough. I don't mind.
No.
I don't mind the I don't mind the puppetry. I really don't mind the puppetry and animatronic stuff. Like when the snake is on screen slow and still, like the gloss on the skin and the reflection of the scales and the textures, it looks
look
really
good.
good. I know there's one scene where you can tell the puppet is the one they took in the water. Like whenever I forgot it. I think it's when Carrie Werr, somebody falls in the water and the snake turns and makes a water dive where I'm like, that's not CGI, that's good puppeting. Like you can kind of feel and see the weight, but the CGI stuff is just not there yet. If they could have slowed the movie down and stayed more practical, if they could have pulled it off with puppetry only, that would have played all right. But
Not there yet for the budget.
no, yeah,
It's always one of those. It's not fair what Jurassic Park really did for CGI
true.
Yeah.
before this, but it's like not everybody's working with Spielberg's Jurassic Park budget.
This is a $45 million budget for back in the day. Was your typical your mid-budget star-driven '90s thing of a nice modest budget, but you can tell that $45 million went to location shooting and not the CGI. So
Yeah.
those are my two
End of the
bets.
wink.
Yeah, and the wink. Yeah, $5 million, please, right now.
I'll do it for $5 million.
How much is our gelatinous throat? $2 million. Got it. Yeah.
No, it's my first bad, and this is I'm gonna meet my first bad with equally bad punny.
Okay.
John Voight, more like John Hamm.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
That's a knee
gotcha. No, obviously, but so bad he's good.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he's terrible. Like everybody else in this movie is just limited, and really, they've peaked in what they can bring to the screen. John's like, I'll carry the slack. Don't worry.
Yeah. Cool.
I've got acting chops aplenty. And so John Voight's my first one. But again, so bad he's good. And my second one is, of that $45 million budget, I'm assuming that Eric Stoltz just volunteered to be in this movie. Because it's like cameos of Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
He's just like, and really that's it, is like, I won't say I was like on board with like, oh, good, an Eric Stoltz movie. But it's like he's there in a prominent role early on,
Totally.
and then he's just gone.
Do you think there's some? Do you think a lot of that is the built-in? I'm not trying to give the screenwriters any credit here, but is there some bait and switch? Like we're made to think Jonathan Hyde can be a villain, and then kind of isn't. We're made to think. I mean, John Voight comes in and obviously oversells everything he's doing. Are we oversold to think that Eric Stoltz is the action hero, but then isn't? That Ice Cube is the loud guy, but then he isn't. J Lo is going to be the victim, but then she isn't. Or she's going to be Sigourney Weaver and an ass kicker, and she's not.
Right.
Is it all bait and switch? Is that too much credit to our screenwriters?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think,
Like I
yeah.
said,
I think that
it's
was just
one
nice
thing-
coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing when Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, teamed up on Scream
Right.
and like, hey, here's Drew Barrymore. Just kidding, she's gone.
Right.
But there was an early 2000s, I think it's early 2000s, kind of low budget horror film called Feast. That was really 2005.
Okay.
It was really fun in that it all
Judah
took place in a
Friedlander.
bar. You've got John and Clu Gulager in the movie. Judah Friedlander, Jason Mewes.
Dude,
Yeah,
with a trucker hat?
Actually, probably.
Yeah.
The movie's a lot of fun in that they set up where every time you meet a new character, there's a freeze frame of what their role is.
Okay.
There'll be like freeze frame. It'll be like hero, and then 45 seconds later they get killed or something like that. So like they're really having a lot of fun with that trope of everybody here fits a dynamic, but we're just going to throw everything into a bowl and mix it up. And so the person who who's been tabbed as the hero dies right away, and your final girl gets killed early. Just that kind of. They're having fun with it. So it's a creature feature. So. It's a fun little watch. I've seen it once, but it was enough that it stuck with me to be like, that movie was fun.
Yeah.
Plus, anytime you get Clu Gulager in a movie, you go for it.
My two bads. First one is a simple one. Danny Trejo's too skinny. He's too skinny. I don't like skinny Danny Trejo.
And
No,
too dumb.
doesn't do it for
Too
me.
dumb. I need the real Danny Trejo accent in there. Yeah.
Right.
You guys do your Dust Till Dawn show. I need that Danny Trejo. Yeah.
Right.
Are you guys truckers?
Oh, yeah.
We need that Danny Trejo.
I need that size Danny Trejo. Like, you look at it and you're like, this is post-prison Danny Trejo. Like you went to prison looking like that, Danny? And then later, you got all jacked? Like, you did it in the wrong order.
My second one, when what's her name, Denise Kari Wurr is attacking him on the boat out of revenge for her broken heart for Owen Wilson. Cerrone has his arms like roped off behind this like pole, and he like jumps up like 10 feet into the air with his arms around this pole behind his back. And then like Rey Mysterio leg scissors her and chokes her out.
He's 619s her.
Right. Hey. Good show.
What a
I threw a one in there. I threw a one in.
Ultimo Dragon Hurricane Rana.
Right, exactly. Jushin Thunder Liger,
There you
played
go.
by John Voight.
Well, but he sprung up in the air, like he was, on the like he was on the boardwalk at a carnival, and somebody took the big mallet and hit the thing, and he just like went up in the air, and like his head hit the bell.
Yeah, it's like Darth Vader turned his back and Return of the Jedi or Empire, and he's like force jumping his way out of the.
Like Kari Wurr should have got like a gigantic like Pokemon to put on her shoulders to carry around for the rest of the movie.
I love it when
boy.
when he dispatches her and like kicks her in the water. They hear the splash. The other people who are trying to winch the boat are like,
Yeah, they just look
something
over
in
their
water?
shoulder.
Yeah,
Huh?
all right. Probably nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Moving on.
Oh.
All right, Don. What's your one for Anaconda?
I don't know if I took your guys' huh, so I'll have to go first and do it. The snake scream. I didn't know
I
snakes could
almost
scream.
had that was my fourth
What?
good.
Yeah,
I almost had that as a good.
I learned in trivia that the legendary voice actor Transformers guy Frank Welker did the voice for the Anaconda scream.
The voice
and
of the snake.
The voice of the snake. I actually, school teacher, I had to look this up. I'm like, no way. So I guess snakes have one of the very few animals in the world, I think maybe the only animal, that has a single vocal cord. So even the ones that have a single vocal cord, it like bellows like a low rubber band. Like that's all the noise it can make is like, which is the sound Carrie Wurr makes when she's in a casting call. But but no, like
the casting directors make the same noise.
But like but I guess like bull snakes can do like a bellow, not this like pterodactyl Frank Welker scream.
Right.
And I'm like, I didn't know they could scream. Yeah.
Well, maybe this Anaconda had leveled up with its. Maybe once you hit 72 feet long, then you gain access to a second vocal cord. It's
Wouldn't
evolution.
that be something? Yeah.
It's
then it's like a
science.
balloon.
You're just you're a secondary ed major, like this, or you're elementary.
I am.
This is all secondary stuff.
Good point. I would have never known this. I'm glad you guys are here.
Good, I can set that straight for you.
Yeah. That's my
Science.
science.
Oz, what's your
Don, you'd mentioned CGI earlier, and I didn't actually see any of it. I was actually wondering how this passed PETA sanctions.
Good point.
You know,
Yeah.
with all this ultra realistic animal acting going on, that I'm sure the one member of the crew we don't see is the PETA member, the PETA representative, making sure that this snake and that capuchin monkey and the baby snakes are all taken well care of.
They were drunk.
Maybe PETA's an America thing,
I
so
know.
and they're down obviously clear down in southern
or-
Florida or wherever.
I think they were.
At.
I think they were drunk and passed out in the room with Eric Stoltz all movie, where they're like,
There you go. That's it. They
He's
were tending to
asleep.
Eric Stoltz.
"Go do what
Yeah,
you want to do
he's
with the board. Let's go."
He's the real animal we're worried about, Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
So that's my is how did this pass PETA sanctions? Curtis, what's your
my why did the poacher have a newspaper clipping of himself on his own boat? Like it's like
Secondary hobby.
it's like
It's
he's
the only picture he had of his friends.
Right.
it's like his
Touches it every
his
now
kid,
and then, like,
Oh,
I miss you, John.
it's like his
Sarone.
his kid had their picture in the paper, so like I gotta put it on the fridge.
It's his dad's boat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hand-me-down.
Yeah. Oh, good one.
He was very, very proud of that friendship.
So, all right, well, that wraps up Anaconda. This has been fun.
It has been a
Don,
good time.
Thank you for joining us, for sure. Before we get into next week's stuff, Don,
Yeah.
plug away, my friend.
You can find my work. I publish my film reviews on everymoviehasAlesson.com and on Film Obsessive. I'm also the co-host of the Cinephile Hissy Fit podcast. You can find that on anywhere you find your typical podcast things. Along the way, social media, Casablanca Don. When back massager is not my handle, that's my handle. You can find that on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and whatever not. That's where you'll find me there. But it's great to follow these guys, and I definitely take a follow as well. You can follow all three of us as part of Chicago Indie Critics as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well put.
excellent.
So
Thank you.
we'll drop. I'll drop links and to your stuff down in our
Thank you.
in our link section. So next week, this is a 5-week month, and so we are trying to get guests for each of our 5th weeks, and you being the first of 2023. So we get back into our regular back and forth rotation to where next week is your week, Curtis.
It is, and this is also one of those terrible movie. Kind of going back to Don's, like his what your your Anaconda, Schindler's List analogy there. 1989's Weird Al Yankovic opus, UHF.
Ooh. All right.
One of those movies
I love me some
that's shaped my sense of humor as a young coming of age Curtis.
Yeah, I love this movie.
That's going to be good.
This is one of those, Curtis, that I know easily falls into what we quote at each other more than a lot.
Yes.
Whoa.
We quote
more than Walk Hard, Dewey Cox, you guys? Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we quote this at each other all the time.
Okay.
That was young
Yeah, I'd
Dewey.
say- I
This
mean,
is middle Dewey.
Just the middle to it. But yeah, our respective wives are well aware that you and I could engage in full-length conversations with nothing more than just movie quotes. No original thought. We plagiarize entire
really
conversations.
nothing original about either one of us.
Oh, boy.
No, there's zero substance behind this fleshy shell, other than just Rolodex of movie quotes. But yeah, I would say, and I quote this at my kids who have not seen this, and so they miss out on, when my son's like, "Daddy, can I have a drink?" And I'm like, "Do you want a drink from the fire hose?" And he just doesn't get it.
I routinely pick my daughter up by the front of her shirt and just yell at her, "Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?"
And my kids really don't like it when I look at them and go, "You so stupid." especially out of context.
Right.
It just doesn't wear well.
Oh, honey, they're crying
gonna be
again.
good,
I don't know
fellas.
why.
I was just quoted UHF, Adam. So.
Again.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
week.
Yell at you, yeah.
Well, my wife hasn't seen it either, so
Oh,
there
here
you
we
go. Everybody gets mad at me when I quote that from UHF for some reason. So,
Now she'll know.
but yeah, we will be back next week, week 4 of March already. This week, this month is going way too fast. Like, just knowing that there's only 5 weeks of guilty pleasure, movies for us to take, and we're already going into week 4. But yeah, we will be back next week with UHF before we round out March with a pick that I'm very excited for.
Yes.
Once we stop recording, Don, we'll pick your brain on a movie to see if you're familiar with it or
All
not.
right.
But yeah, you can catch us on social media. Links down below: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, if you'd like to see your name added to the Patreon list of announcements, feel free to donate. If not, we're just going to keep on trucking anyway. And so that wraps up episode 72, Anaconda. Don, again, we cannot thank you enough for coming on to the show, and we hope you were receptive to another invitation in the future.
Likewise, let's get you on our show as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
already
we'd love
looking
we'd
forward
love
to
be
it.
part of it, so.
Yeah. I just
very
want to hear you
much
two
so.
boys cuss. That's all. Let your hair down, fellas. Let your hair down. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Same
Can't
here.
let my hair down.
No.
You put a microphone out in front of me, and all I can think of are Care Bears and My Little Pony.
I think about the cuss words. I just try to figure out creative ways to skirt that PG-13 line and watch Curtis get uncomfortable.
Ugh.
So
It's working.
Ooh, he said 619.
Mom!
Oh, man.
Oh, he referenced Boogie Nights.
What skin of man? Yeah.
There's wieners in that movie.
Waiters and boobies. Speaking of Anaconda, we'll be back next with UHF. Don, again, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Bye.